Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 12th of September, 2022. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube, DLive, and Odyssey channels, as well as on the interactive entropy software, where you can ask myself a direct question, or even better yet, send through a super chat to support the production of this show and other Unshackled productions. Hello to everyone in the live chat, Brucey, Hadron, Peak Aussie Man, and Kesho. Good to see all the regulars again. So it is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where this state's Executive Council met at Government House to proclaim King Charles III as Australia's monarch. And as Kesho pointed out, the Queen of Australia has had a gender change. Yes, we now have a King of Australia, and it's after a 70-year reign of Queen Elizabeth II. It's going to be a bit of adjustment to get used to saying the King. There's going to be next year the King's birthday, and eventually our Royal Mint will spit out coins and notes with Prince Charles's, King Charles. Again, see there, we've got to get used to saying him King Charles, Charles III. It'll have his face on our notes and coins as well. So there's still a lot of new titles and pronouns to get used to. So we had Charles III proclaimed as King of Australia yesterday by Governor General David Hurley at a ceremony in Canberra. So all the states, they all have their own executive councils with the proclamation. So since the death of Queen Elizabeth II on Thursday, followed by the accession of King Charles III, it's been a weekend, and it's going to be a week marked in tradition, formalities, protocols, and convention in the United Kingdom and all the Commonwealth realms. So the first royal proclamation began on Saturday morning, Australian time. So it's the Accession Council took place at St. James's Palace, which, as you can see here, it's made up by privy councillors, great officers of state, the Lord Mayor of London, the High Sheriffs, I don't know who they are, Realm High Commissioner, so our acting High Commissioner was there, some senior civil servants, and certain others are summoned. So the proclamation by the Accession Council was conducted by the new Lord President of the Privy Council, which is also the leader of the House of Commons, Penny Mordaunt, who Liz Truss just pipped to the post to get into the final two of the Conservative leadership contest, which Liz Truss won. And as discussed on Trad Tasman Talk last Friday, commissioning Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister, to form a government was Queen Elizabeth's her final act as monarch. Most people believe that Penny Mordaunt, she did a fantastic job doing the accession of King Charles III. given that she'd only been in the role for 4 days. If the previous Lord President of the Council was Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's a Catholic, and obviously King Charles is the head of the Church of England there, so that would have been interesting as well if if the proclamation was made by a Catholic, but of course it was a progress enough that the proclamation was made by a woman. I think Penny Mordaunt, the reason she did such a good job is because she's had a career in the Navy. She was a naval reservist up until 2019. So if anyone knows protocol, it is her. So the state funeral for Queen Elizabeth II has been set for next Monday, the 19th of September. So as we'll be going to air, the funeral will be underway. So Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is traveling over with Governor David Hurley to attend the funeral, even though it is being instructed that each nation should only send one representative, and they don't want all the private jets coming in. They want all of the world global dignitaries to come in on commercial flights and be bussed in. I can only assume because the royal family wants a green funeral, less carbon emissions. Also yesterday, Anthony Albanese stated that Australia's day of mourning for the death of Queen Elizabeth II will be on Thursday, the 22nd of September, which is a Thursday. It couldn't be on the Friday the 23rd because that's the grand final eve public holiday in Victoria and the grand final parade. So obviously they couldn't clash, which means that Victorians get a 4-day long weekend. And it's interesting that it's the left progressives who are the ones upset at this extra day of, well, not having to go to work, but because it's similar to Australia Day, of course, they have detested it, and then they believe that it's another reason why Albanese has betrayed them as Prime Minister. They're very upset with him over this. It was interesting. The AMA came out against the Australian Medical Association came out against the public holiday. They're still banging on about the removal of COVID measures, the AMA, but they say this will delay medical care because they will have to pay all our staff penalty rates. There's been a few small business people who've also grumbled about penalty rates having to be paid on this day. But I thought that everyone wanted real wages to increase under Anthony Albanese. I mean, they will for one day. If you're so worried about the cost of public holidays to the economy now, why don't you advocate for the removal of penalty rates there? Hello to Lady of Charlotte, Colin Penfolds, and I don't know why you choose that name. I'm a stupid moron with a big, but I know you've given me super chats as well, so I'm very grateful for that. But I don't know that's why it's your name. And hello to Margot as well. I think what's pissed the left progressives, anti-British Empire, anti-white crowd is because the pomp and ceremony of the last several days, it's been viewed by many normies as a nice nostalgic journey in the time machine. All the looks, there's a lot of traditions and ceremonies that look like they come from the medieval times, and with medieval fantasy shows such as Game of Thrones and now House of the Dragon, and now the controversial power of the rings. I think that well, you've seen the crowds in all of the cities across the UK. There's people waiting for hours for these ceremonies and to catch a glimpse of the new king and queen consort Camilla. They all see these ceremonies as obscene, extravagance, and of course offensive. I've got over the past a few days gotten several SBS news alerts about not all people are mourning the death of the Queen, especially those from countries who suffered under the colonial rule of the British Empire, even though, well, we're in the subcontinent. I mean, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they all play they all play the English game of cricket. They're all mad cricket, so they certainly, there's not many grudges in that part of the world. And in terms of the former British colonies in Africa, I mean, when the British left and they got independence, these African colonies, most of them were ruled by genocidal, communist, black supremacist dictators. So decolonization hasn't been great, or it hasn't led to better times for those parts of the world. And of course, last Friday, we had the appalling tweets from Greens leader Adam Bandt and his deputy Maureen Faruqi. And Pauline Hanson replied to Maureen Faruqi, saying that if you take the all the largesse that you've been able to take from Australia. I mean, you're elected to the Australian Parliament, taking a salary from the taxpayers. If you don't like it here, piss off back to Pakistan. Today, Jackie Lambie also added a statement saying that Australia should be proud of the advantages and life we're able to offer migrants, and it's something I'm proud too. It's even true that we're only in a position to offer these opportunities because of our past. It's hugely offensive to say that it's the fault of the Queen that our history is what it is. A day after she died, the deputy leader of Australia's third largest political party is saying that not only is the Queen's death something that's impossible to mourn, but by extension, anybody who does so is racist. That's just wrong. We're talking about the death of a human being with a family who was loved, who served her country with dignity. I don't agree with all of Pauline's tweets or the language she used, but I do agree that the attitude on show here is pretty disgraceful. My dad came here as a migrant from Scotland because his family wanted to take advantage of the promise of Australia. I resent the attitude of anyone who says he was wrong to be proud of what our country gave him. One of the few times I'll agree with Jackie Lambie. And you have to remember that Jackie Lambie also claims to be part Aboriginal as well. The other part Aboriginal one of the other, I should say, part Aboriginals in the Senate, the Greens' Lydia Thorpe, she finally broke her silence on her not so private Facebook account, Lydia Alma. So she posted the colonized Aboriginal flag lowered for the criminal colonizer. Please help free the flag from colonization. Yes, because we have the Aboriginal flag on all our flagpoles now. It also was at half mast as well. So basically that's made Lydia Thorpe's head explode. And she, in a back and forth earlier this year with former Assistant Attorney General Amanda Stoker, she doesn't like that the Australian government bought the copyright from Harold Thomas for the Aboriginal flag, because apparently it's owned by the colonizing force now. So that's the thing. You can never win with these types of people. Now, it was the AFLW Indigenous round this weekend. Not that anyone's really watching the AFLW. We're all focused on the AFL footy finals. It's not AFLM yet. I know that with the soccer, they have the A-League men's and the A-Leagues women, but the traditional men's competition is still just called the AFL. So they cancelled the minute silence for the death of the Queen because it was the Indigenous round, and so the Western Bulldogs put out a statement saying they agreed with the AFL's decision. So the club believes the decision to hold a minute silence directly following the acknowledgement of country was insensitive. It heightened the feelings of hurt and unease among the Indigenous communities, as well as among the players and spectators present and viewing the match. And then it goes for this statement from the Bulldogs director and proud Wad Job Aluk and Jaja Warring woman Belinda Durate. And so it says, while for many Australians it seems appropriate to recognise the significance of the Queen's passing, we must understand what it brings up for First Peoples, the impact of colonisation and what the monarchy represents to us and our families. Won't go through the whole statement there. There was a NRL W player who I'd never heard of because I don't follow the NRL, let alone the NRLW. So Caitlin Moran, she's under investigation by the NRL Integrity Unit because she put on her Instagram about the death of the Queen, which she deleted. She posted, "Today's a good fucking day. Uncle Luke announces his tour and this dumb dog dies. Happy fucking Friday." Yes, that is even more tasteless than what Lydia Thorpe, Adam Bant, and Maureen Faruqi tweeted combined there. But I still support free speech, and so if she wants to say something as obscene as that, I support her right, her right to free speech, even though I believe it's disgustingly insensitive what she said there. So, given that, the mainstream media think, enough time has passed after the immediate death of the Queen. They've started talking about an Australian republic again. Anthony Albanese has said that his priority in this term of government is to get the Indigenous voice to Parliament referendum up. It is official ALP policy that Australia should become a republic. You can't be a member of the Labor Party unless you support an Australian republic. That's been the policy since Paul Keating was Prime Minister. I'm a Australian Republican in principle, just because I believe that we are an independent sovereign nation who should have an Australian head of state. But where the Republic push always unravels is what model would be best to make sure that there's constitutional political stability. Because the thing with our constitutional monarchy, the only real crisis was Governor General Sir John Corr dismissing Gough Whitlam as Prime Minister in 1975. But apart from that, the Governor General, being the Queen's, well, now King's representative, has made sure that we've had a stable democracy And it's hard to tell what because there's so many different models. The one that was proposed in the failed 1999 referendum was that a ceremonial president, would be elected with a 2/3 majority of a joint sitting of the federal parliament. So it was called the Politicians' Republic. That's what Australians for Constitutional Monarchy was still led by Professor David Flint, who's been a guest on Wilm's Front previously. He's been doing numerous interviews these past few days. He was able to successfully defeat Malcolm Turnbull, who was then the head of the Australian Republican movement, by saying, "Vote no to the Politicians' Republic." Most Australians wouldn't vote for a republic model unless it was a directly elected president, but that's not a popular model with the elites. What is it? Peter Fitzsimons, the current Republican movement chair, wants the public are allowed to vote, but only from a short list that the parliaments decide. Like, clearly, there's a lot of paranoia that we'd end up with President Eddie Maguire, that sort of thing. Obviously, given that the Governor General has a ceremonial role, the only Republican model that would get up would be directly elected president who has a ceremonial role. Germany, for example, that has a ceremonial president, albeit it's elected by a convention of politicians, not a direct election. The president can serve a maximum of 2 5-year terms. But of course, the head of government, who makes all the important decisions, is the chancellor in Germany. Now, in the Liberal Party of Australia, you'd say it's a conscience-free vote. There's Republicans and constitutional monarchists in the Liberal Party room. Peter Dutton himself is a constitutional monarchist. The National Party is fully committed to the constitutional monarchy. And there should be a distinguish between being an Australian Republican and being a Republican against all monarchies, because supporting an Australian republic doesn't mean you're against the British monarchy, which has still enduring support. I mean, all of this previous commentary, would the British people accept King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla? I mean, it's pretty clear that they have. And of course, the only way that the British monarchy could collapse is if King Charles decided to be a meddling king. But he said in his first speech that he wouldn't have time for his causes and charities that he so passionate about, is the words that he used, and would leave it to others. And as people in the chat have pointed out, yes, he's been a long time attendee at Davos with Klaus Schwab. They go back all the way. This is them in 1992, Klaus Schwab, and then Prince Charles, and Prince William. He is also a climate green activist as well. There he is at the Davos with Klaus Schwab, though Prince William the new Prince of Wales, he sort of looks like a hostage there as well. It's like he went there just because Daddy told him to. There's a question from I'm a Stupid Moron with a Big Butt. Hey, Tim, are you going to see Nigel Farage? I'll be there. Not this time. The Unshackled doesn't do events anymore because they're very time-consuming and expensive to cover. Plus, I saw him last time he was here 4 years ago, but certainly I would encourage anyone who wants to go to get tickets at nigelfarage.com. live.com.au. Pico Osman says William is on par now with Charles. Well, certainly the younger royals, they certainly enjoy more positive celebrity coverage. But yes, he is as big a greenie as the now King Charles. Now, yesterday it was the 9/11 anniversary. So always remember that there's two 9/11s. There's obviously the most remembered one, the September 11 plane attacks at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, where 3,000 Americans were murdered. Myself and Andy Nolch, we did a special stream this time last year, 9/11 Truth 20 years on, because we still don't know everything about the lead up and the unfolding of the events of 9/11. Who knew beforehand? Who was ultimately responsible? And the other 9/11 is, of course, the September 11, 1973 saving of Chile by General Augusto Pinochet, who toppled the socialist president Allende, who committed suicide. So I wrote this article in September, or on September 11, 2018. And well, I wrote that basically everything you've been told about the Pinochet presidency is wrong. He was a savior of Chile and saved it from being a socialist hellhole. And of course, on the 9/11 show that I did in 2018, I wore this shirt, which I know my political enemies were very triggered by at the time, and they still have it in their photo. Yep, Pinochet did nothing wrong. And on the back, of course, making communists afraid of rotary aircrafts again since 1973. So there you go there. I wasn't going to wear it for the whole show because it wasn't appropriate, but I thought I'd just flash it for old time's sake. Now, moving on to other global news. So Ukraine has made further advances against Russian forces. They are pushing north in the Kharkiv region, advancing to its south and east, and so they drove Russia to abandon its bastion in the area. So this is obviously being treated in the mainstream as that Zelensky and Ukraine, their perseverance and heroics are paying dividends. That's of course the narrative, but it doesn't change the fact that because of their own sanctions against Russia, Europe is going to be in an energy crisis, deep freeze this winter. And so we had last week the EU Commission President, her name is, she's a German politician, Ursula von der Leyen, talk about how the EU nations are going to ration the energy this winter.
And this is what is expensive, because in these peak demands, the expensive gas comes into the market. So what we have to do is flatten the curve and avoid the peak demands. We will propose a mandatory target for reducing electricity use at peak hours, and we will work very closely with the member states to achieve this.
Sounds very alarmingly familiar. Flatten the curve with mandatory controls, although this time with energy. And there is a new law in Switzerland where in times of energy rationing, people in Switzerland, they could face up to 3 years in prison if they set the temperature in their home above 19 degrees, and they can get fines of up to 3,000 Swiss francs. So this this is probably giving Dan Andrews ideas. I mean, next a pregnant mother will be arrested, handcuffed in her pajamas because she turned up the heating during the winter in Ballarat to 20 degrees. I mean, a lot of people speculated and predicted, feared that the climate lockdowns, mandates would come, and well, this is an alarming sign. And of course, it's not just Europe in an energy crisis. It is also California, who this is from September 8, at the time was in its 8th day of flex alert energy emergency. So they instructed consumers to minimize their use of energy, including not plugging in electric vehicles between the hours of 3 and 10 p.m. So they're telling you to use electric vehicles, but except don't charge them during particular time. It's interesting. It's a real Orwellian term, flex alert. Be flexible about when you use your energy. And of course, the UK, well, has its own energy crisis coming this winter. I mean, they could be going back to the medieval traditional form of heating and lighting this winter, candles and fires. The ITV This Morning program last Monday, in their Spin the Wheels segment, inserted a new prize.
Okay, here we go. So we'll pay your energy bills. Got £1,000 as well. So this is energy bills, I think, for 4 months if it stops on that.
Nice.
So how are your energy bills? Are you a bit worried about it all?
Major.
Yeah.
Are you?
I've got one of these prepayment meters, and it's absolutely murder.
Oh, God.
Right, well, let's hope it lands on one of those then.
Whatever,
right.
You're going to win some money, so don't worry. Here we go.
One way or t'other. Here we go. Round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Da, 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 da. £1,000 or energy bill. £1,000 or energy bill. It is going to be... It's your energy bill!
Oh, my God, thank you.
We're paying your energy bill for 4 months.
Oh, fantastic.
No worries.
Oh, what a relief. Thank you very much.
Oh, listen, well done, you. That's...
So it didn't last long, the energy bills prize, given the backlash that was to it. So Philip and Holly, the hosts, they didn't mention it again. And I wonder if it was sort of a deliberate ploy by ITV to sort of get people talking about the cost of energy. I wonder this winter, one of the new game shows might be Meal or No Meal, given inflation is projected to hit 20%. Though it's not all bad news coming out of mainland Europe. The Swedish Democrats have come out of their election as the biggest party on the right, and could be their leader, Jimmy Åkesson could be their new Sweden's new prime minister. Sweden is also a constitutional monarchy as well. There's still a number in Europe: Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Spain. So obviously, because they're not English speaking, people often leave them out. So Swedish Democrats, 73 seats. The ruling Social Democrats, they're still the largest party of 108 seats. So the Swedish Democrats, obviously, it's mentioned that in the mainstream media that they're a far-right party. While they are by Swedish progressive standards, they're sort of more these like to use a UK analogy. They're more Tommy Robinson civic nationalists rather than Mark Collett ethno nationalists. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, very bad news coming from Ireland. So a school teacher has been jailed for contempt of court, which all began because he refused to use a student's gender-neutral pronouns. This is Bill Mullenberg's opinion piece on the Cauldron Pool website. His summary is opposed trans madness and you'll be thrown into prison. So a teacher who refused to use gender-neutral pronouns for a transgender student was jailed in Ireland for contempt of court. Enoch Burke, an evangelical Christian, was put on paid a suspension by Wilson's Hospital School in Westmeath for refusing to call a pupil they. He was later jailed for breaking court order not to go or try to teach at the Church of Ireland school. I love my school with its motto, res non verba, actions, not words, but I'm here today because I would not call a boy a girl, he told the judge before his jailing. So the judge told the history and German teacher he must stay in prison until he agrees to comply with the terms of the injunction, which would purge his contempt of court. Burke said, transgenderism is against my Christian belief. It is contrary to the scriptures, contrary to the ethos of the Church of Ireland and of my school. It is insanity. I will be led from this courtroom to a place of incarceration. I will not give up my Christian beliefs. So he will be in jail indefinitely unless he bends the knee to gender-neutral pronouns there, which that is pretty scary. I mean, Neil Erickson, for his words against a gay church, I mean, he got a fixed sentence of 40 days, not an indefinite sentence like Enoch Burke is suffering here. Picosman says, so basically Catholic persecution in Ireland, yeah. Now, in Northern Ireland, there was another patriot who was facing jail. So Jolene Bunting, she is a Ulster Unionist Protestant, which means that she supports Northern Ireland being part of Great Britain. She was part of Britain First. She was an activist with them for many years. This is just broken tonight that she has avoided prison. She's got, got a discharge order. So she was facing imprisonment for violating an injunction against harassing a drag queen who takes part in Drag Time Story Hour in Belfast. So this article from ITV calls this drag queen Storytime reader a Belfast actor, Matthew Cavan, whose drag name is Cherry on Top. He's also HIV positive as well. So I hope during story time they make sure that he doesn't get a paper cut. So Mr. Cavan told a court he had lost work, being wrongly accused of grooming children and pursued by pedophile hunters because of the postings. He says, I have had sleepless nights. I've had to get security cameras and security lights put up at the front of my house because I'm terrified these people are going to arrive at my house. A group calling themselves Parents Against Grooming held banners which read, "Hands off our children," outside the MAC theatre. And this article, a linked article here, shows a picture of Cherry on top at a drag storytime event in Belfast Pride, and he says that his events are filled with love, and apparently his storytime readings are a sellout, which I don't know any parent who would or has taken their child to a drag queen storytime event. I'm still perplexed why any parent would take their children to such a event there. All right, that brings us to the end of another week of Tim's News Explosion. There's a question here on entropy from Hadron Anti-Bullying. Tim, how do you feel knowing that Cameron Wilson could soon be out on the street if Rupert Murdoch bankrupts Crikey? Well, it's Lachlan Murdoch who is suing Crikey. Crikey basically goaded Lachlan Murdoch into suing them because, well, he did threaten legal action over a Crikey article which blamed the Murdochs for inciting January 6th. So Crikey basically said, bring it on. So it'll be an epic defamation case. Sadly, probably Cam Wilson will, get another job. I mean, he started off at BuzzFeed, then went to Gizmodo. Now it's with Crikey. I mean, and you'd probably move on to say, I don't know, the New Daily or something. They all seem to get a job, these far left reporters. Mark DiStefano, the original a BuzzFeed Australian political editor, who then went to the UK, then went to the Financial Times and got fired for snooping on a rival newspaper's Zoom calls. He is back in Australia working for the Fin Review. So they always bounce back, unfortunately. Now, at the moment, there won't be a Wilmsfront featured interview show this week, but I will let you know if there is one. If it is, it'll be this Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time on the Wilmsfront channel. There will definitely be a Trad Tasman talk this Friday evening, 6 p.m. Melbourne time, 8 p.m. Auckland time on the Unshackled YouTube channel. And I'll be co-hosting with Stephen Berry this week, and obviously be discussing just today. Jacinta Ardern has scrapped the COVID traffic light system and abolished all vaccine mandates. Masks are now only mandatory in healthcare settings, though they're keeping 7 days isolation. But it means now unvaxxed, unmasked, trans-Tasman flights are back. So you can fly from, say, Melbourne to Auckland and back without any vaccine dose and without wearing a stupid mask. So, and yes, you can send a list of recommended guests to my Telegram. It's basically, I'm on Telegram at Tim Wilms as well. So keep checking out the unshackled.net for Unshackled Productions and Articles archive. And of course, I post links to upcoming shows on Telegram, Gab, Minds, MeWe, and Locals. So thank you, everyone, once again for your support and company. And I'll see you again soon. Good night. Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, stay free, stay healthy.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's